Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture
With Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. It is Saturday night. Kenny, I know you were having some problems hearing.
I can hear now. I can hear now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You can be heard. It is Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture, a little thing we do here on Facebook Live, Saturday nights coming at you. Welcome to the stream. And Kenny, you're going to talk a little bit about tonight's show and our special guest. Oh, but before we get started, let me show you what I got in the mail today.
Oh, what'd you get in the mail today? Oh, wow.
It is my Kathy and Kenny. I don't want to put it on because I'll get lipstick all over it, but it's my Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture face mask. So it's the podcast and the face mask.
Nice.
I have on my Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture T-shirt. So,
wow, you got all this. You got all this swag. I don't have no swag. I don't have no Kathy and Kenny swag. How come I don't have Kathy and Kenny swag?
I'll send you some Kathy and Kenny swag. If you want to get some Kathy and Kenny swag, there is a link in the description on Teespring. You can get a mask, a T-shirt, a hoodie. I got a hoodie.
You got a hoodie? Man. Wow, you got swag and everything. I don't have, you know what? I'm really feeling like a stepchild here.
All right.
I'm really feeling like a stepchild here.
So it is Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. It's something we do Saturday night on Facebook. So we've been in quarantine.
Yeah.
Every week we tackle some new and different phenomenon in pop culture. This week I'm excited to be celebrating as September ends. September is Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
And again, it's almost like February being Black History Month. Why we gotta have only 1 month? But anyway,
I know.
We're gonna celebrate some Latinx culture, and to do that, we do need a special guest. But before we get to our special guest on the show, I want to invite you to call in as well as let you know if I do have the phone on this time.
Yeah.
704-252-8813. It is
call in
a number, but we do welcome your calls and as well as your comments. If you're joining us, shout out a hello in the comments. And I know Kenny throws it on his stream as well. Those comments we can't see, but if you look at our Facebook page, Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.
Page now, I'm on my page now.
Also, you can reach us. Okay.
Oh, you paid now.
I'm sorry. You can also reach us on YouTube at K-Walk Comedy on YouTube, and you can find the show. But go ahead, Kenny. You can introduce some of the people who are watching on your stream.
I have Sass watching. I have Hershey watching, and I have Cheryl, my good friend Cheryl watching. I have my buddy from high school, Joe Downs, watching, and also on my stream, which is also going to be on your stream, is our special guest for tonight, and Rico Santiago.
What's up?
And can you hear me? Rico.
I can hear you. Buddy.
Oh, Rico. All right.
Clear.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Hispanic Heritage Month.
It's Hispanic Heritage Month all year for me, so
that's
just how I do.
Okay. Well, I should have had you. I should have had you on a superhero show too.
Well, anytime.
I should have had you on a superhero show.
Thanks for having me on, though. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited.
Just Samson, how you doing? And it is I met Rico a couple of years ago, was it, when he directed a play that I happened to be in because nobody knew an older black man.
True. Yeah, that's right. That was That was going back a few, maybe like 5 years ago, maybe.
No,
About 5
not that
years
long.
ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. Bro, it was when I was skinny. And I gained all this quarantine weight back.
Yeah, I got all this quarantine weight too. I got all this quarantine weight. So, Kathy, where are you?
The quarantine weight there's no fun in the quarantine 15. That's what I'm suffering from myself.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I got the quarantine 50. So,
Yeah, hey.
And the white beard, like I'm not used to all this.
Well, yeah, I got all that.
My God, man.
It's nothing, But the ladies like a bald-headed brother, so I'm good.
Me too. Me too. I got all the hair here, but nothing up top. So
yeah, well, you're married, so it don't count with you.
Who am I going to impress? I'm fine.
But
you still got to look good for your wife.
Yeah, this is true. That's why I don't have one anymore. Look. Now we got jokes. Okay, but anyway. And I want you to thank you for being here because we're doing Hispanic Month, and you are Hispanic, and I'm hoping you help me run through all of these. Did you look at the list I have?
I did. I was able to look at the list.
Okay.
That you guys sent and everything, and then I was getting mesmerized by the list from previous shows on here, and I was like, man, this is great.
Oh, this is a good list.
Yeah, no, it's a very good list. It's a very good list.
And again, our list, we're just focusing, I guess, on where the intersection of pop culture and Latino culture kind of meet. And I know it's not all inclusive or extensive. And again, shout out to Just Samson. See, you guys need to be doing what he's doing during quarantine because he hikes every morning. So
I should.
He is on.
Good for you, Samson.
He's show off me right.
To show off you. Samson hikes every morning.
Nah, but your list is good. Like I was able to come up with a couple things just on the fly getting here because I am a new father of a 6-month-old, so it gets rough, man.
Yeah, I know.
It gets
and
rough.
Your baby is so adorable too.
Thank you.
It's so adorable.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's get our list started. Let's go with TV shows. Now, we're gonna go from the bottom on up. And I put in Stuck in the Middle.
I just keep jumping in because I'm just saying hi to the folks who are listening, and Jana is, I guess, enjoying you guys. And once again, Rico, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Your daddy with the baby.
I have two 17-year-olds, and now I have a 6-month-old. So that'll just tell you everything you need to know right now.
That's a gap.
All the bags under my eyes, like that's all that's all you need to know right now.
Just
I show up hard. We don't need all that. But thank you for listening, Samson.
Hey, Janice. Hi, back at you. Thanks for checking us out. So let's go to the list for TV shows. Shows that have had kind of an impact. Now, this one show you have on here, Kenny, and my brother always puts shows on there that I don't know because he is in tune with the Nickelodeon Disney set. Stuck in the Middle. Is that
Stuck in the Middle is about a Latino family in California where the girl that's the middle, it's like they have 7 kids, and the girl that's a middle child is like an inventor. And she invents stuff, and it's a Disney show. And the 2 younger kids, of course, are the rascals that get into stuff that nobody knows what they're doing. And, there's an older kid that's, a couple older kids that one's a tomboy, the other girl is like a diva. So it's a typical sitcom thing, but it's just with a Latino family.
Okay.
They do the what are the parties that they do when they're 16?
When 15, the quinceañera.
Quinceañera. You see, this is why
they're 15.
Yeah, I was going to pronounce that all wrong. I was going to mess it all up.
See, we had a call.
I was going to mess it up.
Balanced. I don't know what's wrong with the phone. Why I can't get it to work? It's very frustrating. We had a caller come in, and I couldn't get the phone The phone keeps coming up silent. I'm gonna try to call that number back. Just
okay. Try to call that number back.
okay.
You know what? You know what? You should try to call that number back.
I'm gonna try to call that number back.
Yeah.
No, we can go through it. But go ahead. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Okay. So Stuck in the Middle is the show. It's a show that's based on a Latino family in California, and the parents own a sporting goods store, and they have 7 children. They better own something with 7 children, and the one in the middle is based on her, and she likes to invent things and create things. So Stuck in the Middle.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's a good positive thing for
it's a good positive
Latinx community. That's good.
It's Disney, so they're going to have something positive.
In theory.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
In theory. We like to hope. Because sometimes, okay, here we go. Let's try it again. We got a caller on the phone. Hey, caller, you are with us on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. Can you hear us? Hello? Caller, are you there? Let's see if we can get the caller there. I hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I also listen to the video, so there's a back and forth.
Okay, yeah, you might have
This
to.
is Ted. How are you? My question is for Kenny. First, listen, guys, long time listener, first time caller, love the show.
Awesome.
Kenny, what are you eating right now?
No!
What are you eating?
Who's this?
Why are you eating? We're talking about getting rid of the quarantine 15, and you were on the show eating.
Let's not worry about that. Okay, let's mind our business. That has nothing to do with Hispanic Heritage Month. What I mean,
I'm calling from North Marion Avenue in Winona, New Jersey.
All right, New Jersey in the house.
Shane, is it Shane? Man, you know what?
Love the show, guys. Love it.
Okay, well, I'm eating ham and cheese wrapped up in a roll. That's all I had, and I was hungry. Okay, I didn't have a chance to cook anything because I looked up and it was 8:15. So I said, let me do something quick. So you know what? And I'm drinking honey whiskey and ginger ale. If you must know. All right. Thank you for listening, Shane. We appreciate you listening. All right. Now we're gonna go on with our list and get rid of Shane.
That was Ted. Why are you calling him Shane? Kenny, his name was Ted. It was Ted on the phone. You were calling him Ted. Huh?
Okay. Well, I thought it was Shane who was listening because there's a guy I know who's probably listening named Shane, and he's in Winona. So Rico, glad to see you help my kids out. That's my dad.
Mr. Walker, I will do my best.
Okay. Well, the next show I have on the list is Charmed. Charmed. And the reboot of Charm is a reboot now on CW and is based on 3 Hispanic women.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I haven't seen and again, not that I'm not a fan of the reboot, but I don't know. I was kind of so.
I haven't seen the reboot. Have you seen the reboot, Rico?
I haven't seen the. I didn't even really watch the original. I tell you, the original was my dad, who's 71 now. The original, that was his jam. When I tell you, my father, my old ass dad, had all the box sets on DVDs. Had a meet and greet with Alyssa Milano.
Wow!
Did the whole signed his DVDs and all this. It was insane. Yeah, I had no idea he was such a fan.
He went to the Comic-Con?
No, she was signing something when she did something for MLB, wearing the sports shirts and stuff like that. She had her own clothing line a few years back for women, and I got a ticket, and she was at the Morristown Mall.
Okay.
So I got a ticket and I gave it to my dad. I was like, "Yo, that's your girl. Go see." Like now, Alyssa Milano was like one of my boyhood crushes when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So when I got the ticket, I was
never,
like, I was like, I'm going. I'm gonna go see her. And then I found out my dad was such a charm freak. So I was like, here, go. And
take the ticket. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
he
I
went.
was more with Janet Jackson when I was a kid. Melissa Milano never did it for me, but
But you're not that much older than me.
I am older than you. I'm very much older than you.
Not that much older than me.
I'm 53.
I'm 46. So we kind of like.
Yeah,
Baby,
still.
you're all babies.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, but
Here we go.
that was good. I mean, I'm glad that I don't know anything about the show. I know there was a lot of backlash about it with people all up in arms about doing a reboot, and I'm not a big fan of reboots personally, for the most part. But anytime I can see any Hispanic Latinx people being represented on TV or the big screen, I'm happy.
Incidentally, my friend Matt just texted me that was totally Shane, not somebody named Ted. Because Matt and Shane and a couple other friends of mine are all sitting around drinking right now. So, they invited me. They invited me, but I said no. I had to do the podcast.
So there's not a drinking game with every time you eat that they have to drink something.
I don't know. We can make that a drinking game for people who watch the show. We can make that a drinking game. Every time I put something in my mouth, you can drink.
People want to be drunk in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So next show we have is something you wouldn't suspect, but Wizards of Waverly Place, which is also a Disney show. Because the Wizards were actually half Hispanic, and that came out in the show.
Wasn't Selena Gomez in that?
Yeah, Selena Gomez. Yes,
She was
a very young Selena Gomez.
Yes, yeah. Before she just went crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, again, these shows that came out, it was like I was already grown and I knew about them. I knew about them because of my kids, like my daughter.
Yeah,
I knew about them. But
and
it was just kind of like.
And my daughters are between your, because I got one is 16 and one is 18. So between your daughter's age around it, so I was watching it with them because I would watch cartoons with my kids. And when I was married, my wife would say, "The kids are asleep. Why are you still watching Hannah Montana?"
I was like that with SpongeBob. I just my ex would be like, "Why are you watching this?" And I'm like, "I can't stop watching. It's so good."
SpongeBob is something totally different. SpongeBob is a whole new animal because that's just like that's just funny. But anyway, my next one is a Netflix show that I haven't seen and I wanted to see, and my kids have all seen it. I think a couple of my kids have seen it, and they say it's a great show.
And it's
On the Block.
Oh no! Okay, on the block.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see that yet, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah,
I think my daughter's already seen it.
Okay,
my daughter lives out in Nevada. She goes to school out in Nevada. So,
oh really?
So like 95% of her friends are Mexican. And she and like they're all about that and.
And Rico, since we have you here, maybe you could tell us, because I know even in the Black community, people debate about whether we should be called Black or African American. And what is your thought as far as the label of Hispanic Heritage Month as opposed to Latinx? Or let's educate some people.
Well, I mean, any Spanish-speaking country, I guess you can define in America. They define that as Hispanic. Mm-hmm. Just like I'm speaking myself as Puerto Rican. In Puerto Rico, we always have this joke. It's like, my mother looks white, my father looks black, my sister looks Indian, my brother looks Asian. One has blonde hair, blue eyes, red hair, green eyes, and we're all related 100%. Right. And we're just like this big melting pot. The term Hispanic, though, really from the Hispaniola, like going into that kind of like territory of calling people Hispanic. I grew up where my mother we never called ourselves Hispanic. We called ourselves Latin. And I was always a Latino, and my sisters were always Latina. That's who we were. I never got offended if someone called me Hispanic. I still, to this day, sometimes I still say, Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, which is the term now. It doesn't bother me. at all. But my mentality growing up, Hispanics were always like Central American. Like Hispanics were like Central American and South American. And anyone from Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Spain, we were Latino.
Okay.
That's what my mother, that's like my parents are from Puerto Rico. So like that was like, the ingrained, that's who we were. It doesn't offend me. I know it does offend some people. Mm-hmm. I know that's the most accepted term. When the census came out, I mean, that's what we did. I circled Puerto Rican, Latin, and other, because I wouldn't refer to my race as white or black, or that, because they say either or. I would just do other. But and that's so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not to get too deep into a subject, no. That whole idea of race has been kind of an American construct. Yes. And it has been, and again, it's permeated throughout the world, but it is done to divide us. And I'm so glad
Absolutely.
You said that the whole idea of having, people in your family, probably, darker than me, people with blue eyes, blonde hair, that, there's such a range. And I know, again, America likes to place people in boxes.
Right.
Down here in the South, a lot of people, Latinx origin, are probably more than likely from Mexico, and maybe out west you find that more. I grew up in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area, so I was more used to meeting more people who were from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, mm-hmm. and different places. So, I don't know. I think too, even though we're having fun, we're talking TV shows, or, we can still kind of educate people and kind of inform people.
Because, absolutely.
It all goes to help,
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, totally.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you were in the middle of a sentence. Go ahead.
No, I totally think, like I said before, that whole idea, and some of the studies I've done looking at, equity and justice and diversity, and that whole idea of race was something that America kind of developed and propagated, because it helped them continue with slavery. And it also helps to kind of keep us all kind of divided, because, again, the scary thing, I think, for most people in this country is that if people from African descent, people from Latino descent, and Asian and others, if we all started to kind of work as one, then we'd no longer be individual minorities. We actually would be majorities. And in fact, I think Spanish-speaking people will be the majority in this country in years to come. And we all need to kind of get used to it and get on board.
You're absolutely right, and that's the main thing. That's something I instill in my children. That's something my parents instilled in me. It doesn't matter. Speaking from our culture, and doesn't matter if you look white, if you look black. We're all the same. There's no white and black. And my parents were very big whenever it was stuff for census or stuff for filling out applications for grants, or when I was in college, that you weren't going to pick your race as white or black. You're going to pick other, because you're not, because my mother is a college professor of sociology, go figure. And, and she's always like, these things are made to divide us. And these things are made to make us feel like one group is better than the other, and we're not that family. And so, and that's how I grew up.
And you know what? We've done some talking about the census. So if I can soapbox a little more, and I can, because, I control all the levers. So while I'm on this soapbox, if you have not completed your census form, you need to stop watching us, and you need to go take care of that. You can do it online. It's easy. It's simple. It took me all of 5 minutes to complete the census. That is important. Almost as important as voting, but again, important just the same. So make sure you complete your census. I think we have days now, because be done by
or you can do it at 9:31.
What?
Or you can do it at 9:31.
You can do it at 9:30.
Yeah, just,
All right.
just
So
throw
So
it
I'm,
out
look,
there like that.
so I'm looking at this list that Kenny you brought down, and there was one that wasn't on there. If you don't mind me just hopping in with
Oh,
one
go ahead.
that
Pop
I
it.
think is probably one of the ones that started it all with the Latinx, representation as far as a TV show. Big one was I Love Lucy. Desi Arnaz,
That's on
Cuban,
there.
is on there. I'm sorry, I didn't even see
I
it,
Love
man.
Lucy's on there.
That was like, to me, that was the first time seeing
Yes.
English speaking that wasn't like, si senor,
And
stuff like that.
yeah, and Desi Arnaz, was the main character and wasn't, like you said, he wasn't subservient. He wasn't somebody's, waiter or something like that. He was a guy, and he was a guy with the smarts on the show because whenever something happened, he was the one that figured it out, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Whenever Lucy and Ethel messed something up, Desi came along. Lucy, you got some explaining to do, and he figured it out.
You ever watch those shows? My favorite show of all time, believe it or not, my number one all-time favorite show of all time is Good Times. Like, that's my favorite show ever. And I watch it every Saturday because TV One has a marathon every Saturday, so I'm watching it every Saturday. And I flip between that and The Office, like commercials, like that's what I watch. And I know everything word for word. I know what the scenes are called, like the episodes are called. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She says, if there's ever Good Times trivia, you're going to be a millionaire. Because I'm naming like people on Grips, costume designers, people who did lights. Like I'm naming the production staff. Yeah, it's real deep. So, but
the best boy of that show, like Key Grip.
Yeah, but you watch these older shows, Good Times, Chico and the Man, Sanford and Son. You watch these type of shows, and some of them still hold up.
Yes,
and some of them, I like Good Times as much as my favorite show. I look at some of these episodes, and I'm like, y'all the worst actors I've ever seen in my life. This is horrible. But I still, love it.
Well, you yourself as an actor, that's what you want to look at.
Yeah, well,
as an actor / director, that's what you're going to look at, the acting part of it and how bad they are. And like I think probably the worst acting on TV might have been What's Happening.
Oh yeah, but that was my show with the Doobie Brothers.
The one with the Doobie Brothers. Yeah.
Which
that might have been one of the, that might have been one of the worst actings on TV.
But you know what's good? Like something like I Love Lucy. You're right. He wasn't just a side character just for comedic purposes. He was a main character alongside his real life wife, and she made it a point to make sure that he was just as represented as she was, and the chemistry between them worked so well on that show that show still holds up in 2020. I can still watch episodes of that show and laugh my butt off.
Now, let me tell you what was down.
The comic timing, but also too to be noted is Desilu Studios, and not only the fact that he was starring in this very popular series, but also having that control part.
Yeah,
that's a big key too for seeing the right representation. Is when people of color are on the other side of the camera and making those decisions. So I think that's one thing too to note about Desi Arnaz, that he was indeed the producer of that show.
Yeah,
he controlled a lot.
Not just the performer.
Also, too, that was one of the first shows on TV, on the early stages of television, where Lucy was actually pregnant. And you went through a pregnancy on the show because they still had like the Dick Van Dyke beds where they had two separate beds when they went to the bedroom. But Lucy was pregnant, and you went through that on TV for the first time in a TV show.
That's right. That was the first where they finally revealed the baby, in a show. Yeah, that was it.
We skipped the showing your list, Kenny. That was another reboot, and that's the reboot of One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time. Yeah, that rebooted with a totally Latino cast.
Love it. I love that show. I'm not gonna lie. I love that show.
The new one on Netflix. I've never seen it.
I love that show. I mean, I was all about it when it. They're Cubans living in the LA area, I believe now. It's Cuban Americans. Justina Machado.
Okay.
Puerto Rican from Chicago. Rita Moreno, who is like the goddess.
She's
An
I
icon. An icon. Rita Moreno is an icon.
Grammy, Oscar.
Yeah, she's the EGOT. That's what it is. Emmy,
She's got the
Grammy,
EGOT?
Oscar.
She's
Yeah, she's got EGOT.
Yeah.
She's got the EGOT? Okay.
Yes, she does. Yes, she
Yeah.
does. You know, she's
Greatest
like,
of all time.
I tell you what, man, I don't want to for many years, but you know, whenever she's going to lie and state somewhere, I'm telling you right now, like she is that
Yeah,
revered.
she's
Between her and Chita Rivera, like they are like revered in Puerto Rico, revered. New York, like they are revered.
When you were talking about Puerto Rico earlier and having people in your family of different complexions, I remember when the few times I went to Puerto Rico, I can't speak an ounce of Spanish. And when I went to Puerto Rico,
to your detriment. You better get
to my detriment. Yeah, to my detriment. I know Gracias and Denada only because I watched Magnificent Seven every day when I was a kid. But when I went to, because of my skin tone, when I went to Puerto Rico, and I went one time with my girlfriend who was white, and then with my wife who was white, but they thought I was Spanish. They thought I was Puerto Rican, and people would talk to me like I was, because they didn't, you didn't know, and people would talk to me like I was Puerto Rican. And one time, the last time, my wife looked at the lady that was talking to me, was like, "Yeah, he don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're saying." Like I didn't, because I know what I did. I gave an elderly woman my seat. And she was thanking me. Yeah, I gave an elderly woman my seat on the bus because I took the bus through Puerto Rico to get to New San Juan, to Old San Juan, and I should have took a taxi because it was a very long bus ride.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Know. Yeah, it's fine. No, we come in many complexions. The first time I went to Puerto Rico, I was 13 years old. The first time I went, and I used to get made fun of a lot by my cousins and like people in my neighborhood, like just call me white boy all the time. Even though I knew I wasn't white, and it angered me like just beyond belief. So it forced me, in a way, it's a blessing because it forced me to really research my culture and my heritage and research where we came from. Besides the indigenous Taino Indians in Borinquen, which was the original name, but slaves from Africa, Irish descent, Portuguese, Spaniard, Italian, we everything. I did my ancestry and it came back that it was my four dominant genes are Spain, Portugal, indigenous, native Puerto Rican, and Nigerian.
Wow.
So those are my four main.
Nice.
So in essence, it sounds like Puerto Rico is the true melting pot.
We definitely are. We are, as my mom likes to say, mestizo race. We're a melting pot. We're a melting pot. We're so many different races because any one of us can take a DNA test and we'll have DNA come back from Asia, from all around the world. And that's why some of us I have an uncle who is super dark, white hair and crystal clear blue eyes. I have cousins that are red hair, freckles, green eyes. You would swear they were Irish, whiter than me. I have cousins with blonde hair, blue eyes, and then their sister and brother they look black, dark eyes, and even like the hair, like it's just different. Everyone is just it's just different.
That's
and we're
a
all
beautiful thing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So to me, when I look at a Puerto Rican saying I don't like this color or this color, like I go like, where are you from? They really make you like this is for real. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me at all.
Speaking of points all over, the next one on our list is Dora the Explorer.
Yes, the TV show, the cartoon, and I also meant to put Diego on there, but Dora the Explorer is the more famous one, and also Dora the Explorer should be on our movie list because they recently did a movie of Dora Explorer, and that movie was really like, don't sleep on Dora the Explorer.
Really? I didn't see it.
Oh, it is, and it's also hilarious at some point. Like I took the girls to see Dora Explorer. And there was one time where they had to look at me and tell me to stop laughing. Everybody in the theater was looking at me because you know how some of these kid movies, they do the jokes that the adults would get.
Yeah.
I had stomach aches. I was laughing so hard.
I have to check
Dora the Explorer is a great movie. There's a number 704-252-88 413. Please call us, talk to us. Shane, you had text me with a question, but I can't read your text and do a show at the same time, man. I'm not multitasking like that. I'm drinking whiskey. I don't multitask and drink whiskey at the same time.
Oh, my goodness. I got it. Okay, what else is on our list? We were talking TV shows.
So we got Ugly Betty.
Ugly Betty.
Okay. Not far.
And we got George Lopez show, which I think is hilarious.
I was a big fan of George Lopez show. Big fan.
The George Lopez show was hilarious.
Okay, try it again.
What?
I think. Oh wait, I think that is.
We got a call.
I think we got a call. You know what? The bad part is this thing doesn't automatically go to the roadcaster. Hey, you're on the show. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Guys, can you hear?
Yeah, we hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, hi. This is Shane. I'm calling in. I actually have a question. It's regarding. It's more so regarding the Puerto Rican vote and the upcoming election is big, and I'm thinking about the how with the two hurricanes that we had or you had in Puerto Rico, a lot of Puerto Ricans maybe migrated to Florida and other places. I wonder how that's going to affect this upcoming election. That's my thought. Anyway, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Now, again, we're no political pundits, mind you, and we're just talking pop culture. In my estimation, I am imagining that even though residents of Puerto Rico who may be in Florida are displaced, they're still American. They still get the vote. And again, you get to exercise your right to vote, and you got to do that any way you can. If I can get on my other soapbox, when you finish with your census, you can go check out and make sure that you're registered. If you're not registered, get yourself registered and get your plan together so that you can vote.
Any people from
it was interesting because over the summer interviewing teachers, and I was actually still at the high school interviewing a Spanish teacher, and we were doing it by Zoom for one of the teachers, and I was actually interviewing someone she was in Puerto Rico at the time, and she was questioning, or she said something about, I should be able to work, or it shouldn't be. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, you physically got to get here. That's the only problem. But I think because people don't realize, and unfortunately, even some people in the government don't realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. So
clutch the pearls. I didn't know that. Oh my Lord.
You can tell me maybe your feelings. Do you feel like it should be a state? Because I know there is this debate about whether
if I'm going to be honest, like with myself, me personally, I mean, I think it should. I've always been a supporter of independence.
Okay.
To break off completely, but there's no way fiscally that the island will ever be able to survive. They're barely holding on by a thread now. Not between us being treated as second-class citizens, but also between in regards to the corruption within the island, within the government, within the island, stealing money that's given in aid and everything, stealing money from the citizens, and there's just so much corruption there. There's so much corruption there, and it's disheartening. I think when people see Puerto Rico, and it's beautiful, so it's paradise. It really is. But when you go there, I think people's idea of Puerto Rico are the resorts, beach, casinos, and hotels, and the arts district in Old San Juan. They see those things, the rainforest of Yunque. They see that. They don't see the other 98% of the island, which is poor, and people barely living, doing 2-3 jobs at a time just to make ends meet and survive. It's not that different from here, but we have it way better here than they do down there. And then when the hurricanes are just a normal thing there. When Maria came and wiped everything out, had family members just lose everything.
Wow.
Just lose everything. My mom's family is from Lares, and my dad's family is from Utuado, which is kind of like on the western side of Puerto Rico. and seeing pictures from family members and videos of bridges completely out, just landslide houses, like churches gone, schools gone, stores gone, businesses like under, and then they're living in that filth and they're living in that water, waiting for relief and being without power for months on end. That some, money had to be sent for some people to come live up here, and not just my, like all the families.
Yeah.
Just the influx of Puerto Ricans from the island coming to the mainland. And in regards to voting, like they got to register. They got to register to vote.
And
they're American citizens. And
when you do vote, I want you to remember 2 words: paper towels.
Don't get me started, man.
This
This will turn into a whole different show. This will turn into a whole. My face is going to match my hat in a second. Don't get me started.
The number 1 show we have on our list is Chico and the Man.
Chico and the Man.
That was my dad's favorite show. I never saw it. I saw it in like one episode.
You got it, YouTube. Chico and the Man.
I've seen like bits and pieces as a kid, but never consistent because they don't play it anywhere here consistently.
You don't see that in
No, you don't see Chico and the Man.
No.
You don't see Chico and the Man. But that was Eddie Albert and Freddie Prinze.
And Freddie Prinze.
Not Eddie Albert. It was who was the guy in Chico the Man? Because he was the same guy that was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka movies. Same guy.
Willy Wonka?
Yeah, same guy. He played Grandpa in Willy Wonka, and
Jack Albertson.
Jack Albertson. I said Eddie Albert. Jack Albertson. Yes. And it had a lot of other different. It had Della Reese on it. It had a lot of other like older actors. Of course, being it's from the 70s, but Chico and the Man, and that was the only way I learned how to count in Spanish to 4. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, Chico.
Well, that theme song, that was Jose Feliciano.
Yeah, Jose
Feliciano, who's blind.
Yes.
And my first time in Puerto Rico, I got to see him in concert for free.
Yes.
In Lattes, he was in town in the main square, and he performed a free concert. And I was like right there. I want to say maybe like 6 feet, 7 feet in front of him, and played the whole night. And it was amazing. And he did sing the theme song "Chico and the Man."
Chico and the Man,
yeah. It was really cool. It was really cool. You know what? Another show that I know is not on there because I just double checked.
Okay,
it's a Netflix show. It's called Gentrified.
Yes, I want to
check it out. You should check it out.
I want to see that.
The 3 cousins trying to save like their uncle's taco shop. But in the midst of the whole thing, the whole neighborhood is being regentrified. So they're coming and buying up businesses and stuff, and it's so relevant to everything that's going on here.
That's a reality that's not only for the Hispanic community but the Black community.
Absolutely.
Also. Because I work in Northern Liberties, which used to be North Philly until they gentrified it.
Hipsterville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Northern Libs, Fishtown, that's all Hipsterville now.
Yeah. Oh,
now they're buying all properties in Kensington now too.
I'm like, it's just ridiculous. It's redonkulous is what it is.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on to movies because we got about 15 minutes left. And we're gonna go on to movies. I put Magnificent Seven in there because Magnificent Seven, the 1960s version of Magnificent Seven, had a huge, even though they weren't named, had a huge Hispanic population in it because you had the whole town of people who were secondary characters and a lot of them had speaking parts. So I put Magnificent Seven in there for that. The Disney movie Coco, which I haven't seen yet, and I heard it was good.
So good.
It really is good.
It really is good.
I have Disney Plus. I have to watch it.
If you have Disney Plus, there's no reason, and everybody had it for like a year free. So hopefully you're still taking advantage of that if you have Verizon. But
look, I still haven't finished Hamilton.
You still haven't watched Hamilton? Come on.
I haven't watched the second half of Hamilton yet.
Well, I bartended when Hamilton tour came to Philly. I bartended at the Forest Theater. So I saw every single show, like every night.
Oh, wow!
So it was a treat, though.
Not
so it's great.
Shot. I'm not going to shot. Oh man, yeah. Okay. So my next one is
my shot. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to what? Waste my shot.
Throwing away my shot.
Throwing away my shot. Not throwing away. I'm not going to take my shot. Okay, not throwing away my shot. Okay, my bad. I'm not in the musical. Okay, I was in the musical with Rico. but they wouldn't let me sing.
True story.
Yeah, true story.
He sat in the back
Really?
eating
I said that.
cheesesteaks and reading comic books. That's what.
True story. True
Yep.
story. True story. Okay, now,
You played a king
um,
or something?
huh?
Was that the one where you played a king?
Yeah, I played.
Yeah.
I played the Father King.
I've done
I
the
had
little
2 lines.
myself.
Oh yeah. She's done acting too. She was in Raising in the Sun, Rico, and she was a mother in Raising in the Sun.
Oh, nice.
She did a phenomenal job, and she got an award for that. I got nominated for my part in the movie in the play that I did with Rico. I got nominated for the supporting role.
Okay.
I didn't win. I got nominated though. I was happy to get nominated.
Okay.
Selena.
Selena.
The movie Selena.
That kills me. That movie.
Yeah. The movie Selena. It's a true story. Mambo Kings. Who saw the Mambo Kings?
Oh my God! I had that. I used to play that soundtrack on kids. There used to be this thing called cassette tapes.
Yes.
And we used to put them in cars, in car radio, or like these big things called radios, boom boxes.
We used to use cassette tapes to tape off the radio.
We would tape off the radio.
Yes.
And then we had if you had money or you saved up or your parents had a little bit of money, you had the music stand with the record player and the cassette tapes, or the boombox with 2 cassette tapes, so you could record on a blank for your friends and charge them like $5 or something like that.
I had that, and I didn't do that.
That was the hustle, man. That was the hustle. I had to buy my comic book somehow, man. That was the hustle.
Next movie we have Stand By Me. Stand and Deliver. I'm sorry, Stand and Deliver. With Edward Olmos Jr. and
Edward James Olmos.
Edward James Olmos. I keep getting names wrong today. And
what's his face? Lou Diamond Phillips.
Lou Diamond Phillips. Yes, Lou Diamond Phillips. Yes.
I was thinking Richie Valens. I just kept saying
yeah,
Richie
Valens. That's on the list too.
Richie Valens.
Next one is Desperado.
By the way, which was based on, I think we talked a little bit about it last week when we were talking about school days and movies.
Yes, Stand and Deliver. Yes,
in school.
That's actually based off a true story, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Jamie Escalante.
Yeah, Jaime Escalante.
Okay. And that was Stand and Deliver. What else? You said
Desperado.
Which was an amazing movie, and you got to see the first one, Mariachi.
Mariachi is great. Mariachi is great. Because Rodriguez did that Mariachi first, and he got called in to do Desperado, big budget. But he did Mariachi on a small budget. And I saw that before I saw Desperado, and it was a great movie.
I'd never seen El Mariachi before, so I've seen the Mariachi first, and then I saw El Mariachi, and then when Once Upon a Time in Mexico came out, then I watched all 3 of them back to back. Sat there, and it was great.
And
Antonio was in another movie in Puerto Rico, Assassins. Do you remember that movie?
I didn't see that one.
He was in a movie.
I know about it.
He was an assassin. I believe he was an assassin with Sylvester Stallone, maybe?
Yeah,
it was called Assassons. And the whole movie was like in Puerto Rico, like 2 assassins trying to kill each other, kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Speaking of Antonio Banderas, I didn't put Zorro on here.
Ed usually is on, and Ed watches the show, and he usually gives us whenever we can't think of a name or her show. But go ahead, Kenny.
I didn't put Zorro on here. The 2 Zorro
Zorro.
Movies, the Zorro movies, and also there were some other Zorro movies before that. So Zorro,
my favorite Zorro movie, Zorro the Gay Blade.
Oh my God! I love Zorro the Gay Blade.
It's my favorite Zorro movie of all time.
I'm trying to find that on DVD.
It's my favorite Zorro movie.
DVD. I need to find that. Remember that? You know that thing we do once every year? Yeah. We got 6 months.
I tell you what, now you're going through.
Guilty of some appropriation because, like, George Hamilton isn't of Latin descent.
Oh, you're right. And again, that's why those movies could never happen now.
No.
But even as a Latinx individual, I can still look back. This was my child. I can still enjoy the movie for what it is, or for what it was. But knowing that if someone put something out like this now, that'd be like
you couldn't put Zorro the Gay Blade out for a couple of reasons now.
Oh,
Not only
yeah.
because George Hamilton wasn't Latino, but also because of the gay Blade thing and what they
Right.
did with the homosexual community.
Correct.
And because he was gay, he had to dress up in flamboyant colors all the time. And
There's
yeah,
a lot of stuff, TV, movies that
yeah,
when we grew
yeah,
up, you can't.
yeah,
There's no way you can
yeah,
you will
yeah.
be able to get away with them now.
The original All in the Family would not work now.
No,
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 Now
absolutely not.
no.
the live stage versions, I
They
think.
toned that down. They toned it down.
Okay, because I didn't see them, but
Yeah,
when they aired them on TV, I think they won some Emmys or something for
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know why. I
came
didn't like them too much.
winner ever.
I didn't like them too much. They to me they felt. I guess somebody who grew up with the original. To me, they felt very flat.
Okay.
Those stage plays. But anyway, we're gonna go on with our list. The next one, Antonio Banderas was actually in this one also. Spy Kids.
oh yeah.
Spy
Spy
Kids.
Kids, yes. And then after that, we have one of the greatest musicals of all time, West Side Story.
Now, see, the West Side Story also gets a ding because even though
Oh,
Rita Moreno was in it as well, and that's where she won her Oscar, but the lead
For Anita,
role
yeah.
is not played by someone of Latin descent.
no,
So,
No, most of the cast of the Puerto Ricans were Greek or Italian.
wow, yeah.
Oh,
For the
really? I didn't.
Sharks, yeah, they were Greek or Italian, so it was like a big thing. I'm not a fan of that show.
That movie? Yeah.
I'll never like that show. I
Oh,
find that show extreme. Even as a kid, I found it very offensive. It was to me. I always looked at it as they were making fun of us. They were
Mhm.
making fun of my family. Like that's not how we all talk. We weren't begging to come to America. Like it was like Five on the American Tale. It
yeah.
wasn't. We're singing and dancing in the street. Can't wait
See,
to come here. So
that's
it was one of
interesting
those
enough.
things. It was very. I don't hate on anybody who likes it because it is a piece of art. But for me, on a personal level, for me, I don't care for it.
Yeah.
That's
I
very
totally
interesting to
get
hear.
that. And yeah, and right. To me, that is um it's kind of informing me because I was always I guess because I was exposed to that movie so early, and in fact I remember being exposed to it in school and
Hmm.
study because we actually would watch Romeo and Juliet, and then we would watch West Side Story, and
Right.
again dealing with those Shakespearean themes and being able to tell the story, but also realizing, and again, I think being older too, realizing how those stereotypes, and that is what a lot of people get exposed to, and that kind of informs how they think about people, which I can totally see that as being negative. Just
Right.
just as though people will watch some of those sitcoms and things from the 70s and get negative impressions, about people, like even something like Good Times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that, and
Yeah.
we actually see that movie now in a different light. Now I know, and again, with movies these days, everything is getting streamed, but I think they are in the process of doing a remake of that
They
movie.
are.
At least
Yeah.
Spielberg or somebody's behind that they're
Right.
actually doing a West Side Story remake, and I'm just wondering if it's going to be the same movie remade, or is it getting an update as far as telling the story
I
in a
think
authentic.
I think they will if they do that nowadays, I think they probably will update that a little bit.
I believe it is going to be an updated version. I know when they did the revival on Broadway, and
Mhm.
Lin Manuel Miranda, he wrote some of the music, rewrote some stuff in Spanish, and like I love the guy. Like just I saw in the Heights in New York on Broadway. I saw it over a dozen times, and he's just he's done the music for Bring It On,
Yeah.
the musical, and In the Heights, Hamilton, Star Wars, and Moana, and everything he touches
Right.
turns to gold.
What is it
Um,
with Star Wars?
he in the Force Awakens, he was the music in the bar. He wrote all that music in the bar scene.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's someone asked me because I made a post on Facebook about West Side Story, and someone asked if I would ever go see the remake, knowing that Spielberg was behind it. There were going to be some changes, and I said probably not.
Mhm.
Um, just because I have such a disdain for. There are songs in the show that I like. There are songs in the movie that they're absolutely beautiful. I don't take the art away from it. It's just the way that it was portrayed on stage, the way that it's always been portrayed. To me, as a young age, I found that was very. I always found it weird, and it made me feel uncomfortable. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and I just was like, I don't like how they're making Puerto Ricans look. They're making us look like clowns.
Now,
And this is me. This is me at like 10 years old.
Right. And
So,
one of the things I remember hearing about that movie when they made it, the one scene where Anita goes to warn Tony, or goes to give a message to Tony, the Jets had to tease her and say, abusive slang to her. And they were saying how hard it was for those performers to do that.
yeah.
It was hard for them to do that to, Rita. They had to do it to Rita Moreno, who was actually Hispanic, and it was hard for them to do that scene, just as it was hard for her to be in that scene. Is what I saw an interview from her. Also, too, I saw another interview where the director kept the Sharks and the Jets. This is why I thought they were all really Hispanic. I didn't know some of them were Greek. I knew the lead guy was Greek. But they said they kept the Sharks and the Jets separate. They kept them separated from each other a lot because they didn't want them, because they were rival gangs in the movie, and in real life they kept them separate. They kept them in separate parts of the set.
What's up?
I was just calling to congratulate you on a great show. I enjoyed the show so far, and I'm getting history because I need to know.
Rico, this is our dad.
Oh, Mr. Walker, how are you, sir?
No.
Okay.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice
I'm enjoying your talk, and I'm getting some history I need to know. And I'm surprised that one of our coworkers hasn't called in. Miriam Rodriguez, I'm surprised she hasn't called in.
I don't even know if she's listening. I don't have her listening. So maybe Miriam, she's probably busy with a few things.
Well, again, we're going to let you go because your volume on the show is up, so it's kind of hard to hear. But
yeah.
Hey, that's 2 calls in the show, so that's
that's 3 calls, isn't it? 3?
3 calls because Shane called back. That's right. So
okay, now the last movie on our list is La Bamba, which I have never really seen all of La Bamba before.
You've never seen La Bamba?
Wow.
Okay. You gotta go.
Wow.
Anyway, what used to be my brother.
Oh wow! Fun fact.
I brought you back.
I saw La Bamba the day before. Was it the day before? I flew to Puerto Rico for the first time. The day before I got on the plane for the first time. So needless to say, I was like just a wreck. I was I was shaking, crying. Like on the plane, it had turbulence. I mean, I'm freaking out.
No.
And my aunt was like laughing the whole time. She goes, we're leaving tomorrow, right? And I'm just like crying.
Were you on hopefully you were on a big plane, not on a
No, I was on those big planes, but they don't have them now, I don't think, really. Where you had a middle section and then you had the 2 aisle sections. Mm-hmm. You know those big planes like that like I was.
They always show the movies, yeah.
Yeah, like that. It was like one of those, and you could still smoke on a plane in the back.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
You were 13, but you weren't smoking.
No. But La Bamba, like that holds up, and Isa Morales, who played Bob, the brother, is
was in a movie called Bad Boys, not the Bad Boys with
Martin Lawrence.
No, Bad Boys with Sean Penn.
Yes.
And the kid that was in Arthur.
He was the bad guy, but
yeah,
I'm in love with him.
That was great. Is a great actor, and that was a great movie. I just wanted to add a movie that when we got to the West Side Story type of thing.
Uh-huh.
I am one of the very few people, Hispanic people, minorities that I know personally in my circle that I hate Scarface. I think the movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I've never seen Scarface.
Al Pacino playing a Cuban, like that to me was just like, what is going? And I'm watching it, and people are like, "This is the best gangster movie," and I was like, "This is horrible. His accent is horrible." I was like, "This movie is crap."
This movie,
you know, and like I don't, you know, and then Pacino comes back with Carlito's Way, playing a Puerto Rican, and I was like with the same busted accent, and I'm just like, come on, man, what's going on? Like, you know, like they couldn't find a Hispanic actor. You're telling me, and that's what it is with TV shows, with movies, with theater. You know, when you have characters that are specifically written for a person of color, for a Latinx, for an LGBTQ, for an older person, whatever, you can't just pick and choose what you're going to do and just plug people in. You can't put a square peg in a round hole. You know, and that's the problem. You think that you can have, like, I won't watch the New Mutants movie.
Oh yeah, I'm not watching that.
I won't watch that.
Yeah, I posted about that because the New Mutants movie, one of the characters was originally a black Brazilian, an Afro Brazilian, and that was a whole crust of the story. Because I remember when New Mutants first came out, I had that book. I think I still have that book in my storage. But anyway, he was a Afro Brazilian that was teased, and that's how his mutant power came out.
Right.
And the director, and he was an affluent person. His father had a lot of money in Brazil, and the director thought, and he actually said this in an article, that to show an affluent Brazilian, he thought the Brazilian, he chose a white Brazilian to show a Brazilian that's affluent on purpose. So he kind of whitewashed the character because he thought that the character had to be white in order to show that he was rich.
And unfortunately, believe it or not, there's a lot of mentality among Hispanics. There's a lot of like infighting, especially like certain places that I know where you have the European white Latino like me, and then you have the Afro Latino like my grandmother, somebody like that, or my cousins or my sister. And it was always like the white is good. Why do we teach our children between a white doll and a black doll? You see, these kids are young, these social experiments. The white doll is always perceived as good. Why? Why is it? Because they're conditioned that way. And it's not just the race thing when it comes to Hollywood and music and in New York on Broadway. We're taught this at a very young age. This is like ingrained in our bodies and in our brains at a very young age. And unfortunately, it happens between the Latin community as well. And it breaks my heart because I don't see any difference in people who are Hispanic, Puerto Rican, that are, darker than me, that you would think were African American, you think they were black, and someone who looks Asian. To me, like, we're all, this is my family. We're all the same bloodline.
And again, that is the power play to kind of like the language of oppression is to again get people divided, and that's what that's about. When we're talking about dividing people by skin color and the way they look, and it's a way to keep people divided. And when you do that, you do it does strengthen your power. So that is totally a form of oppressing people,
right?
And it is really powerful when you get people to do it to themselves. And again, even in the African American culture, when they talk about the paper bag test and not
right.
to parties, and this, you had to be lighter than a paper bag, that kind of thing. So something you were saying earlier too, I know you were talking about Lin-Manuel and Hamilton. What I loved about watching that on Disney or getting to see that, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it on stage. Oh gosh, we can go back to the theater and go see shows. I definitely got to put that on my list because I would love to see it live, even without the original cast. Although David Diggs, anyway, I digressed. But
he's amazing too.
Yeah, he's awesome. To me, the amazing thing, or the really remarkable thing about that play was just the kind of casting that was just had nothing to do with kind of race and gender. Well, gender roles they did stick to, but just being blind to that whole idea of race. So you had this guy playing George Washington, but I totally believe, what's his name? Christopher Jackson, I think.
Mhm.
George Washington, you know.
No, absolutely, and he wrote the show that way.
Nellie's watching. Nellie's a friend of mine, Nellie Kelly. It would
Yeah,
be so
he
cool.
yeah
You know
he
what?
wrote the show that way, and there was a big uproar, especially when they were casting for the tours
Mhm.
with white actors and going, "This is a form of discrimination," and I just kept going, "Really? Y'all have all of this. Y'all
You
have
got
all of
everything else.
this. You
You got
can't let."
everything else.
And that's how I feel about like In the Heights is my favorite Lynn show because that was my first Lynn show. And In the Heights, for anyone who wants to start out in musicals, especially with a strong focus on the Latinx community, that is a positive focus and it's about positivity, about family. It addresses regentrifications in the neighborhood and the lives that you lead. Watch or listen to In the Heights. That had rap, it had salsa music, it had everything, and I was just like, this show is about my family. This is about everybody. I love this. So seeing stuff like that, those are positive. Those are positive things. Now, when you have a show like that, shows that are specifically written for us, for people like us, and then you have someone else going, "Well, that's not right." I immediately feel like I'm like Kenny. I'm like, "Well, you're racist," and I'm just gonna leave it at that, and just leave it at that. I see. I understand my. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hot topic. I understand my privilege. I understand that I can pass for a white person. I understand that completely. And I understand that the privilege I have within my own family, that some of us have. And that's why I feel like I have to talk louder than everybody else. Because you're not going to listen to somebody who is darker than me telling you about, because you're not going to feel comfortable around them. White people feel safe around me when it gets to a certain point. And then when I start talking, then it's like, he's not on this side. He's not on this side. So, and especially nowadays, I understand the privilege that I have, and I understand the position that I'm in, and I feel like I'm in a unique position that I can be on stage and play a white person. I can be on stage and play a Latinx person, which I am. I can lose a few pounds and dye my beard, and trust me when I tell you, I look no older than 30, 32 years old. I age. They say black don't crack, but I guess Latin is like satin because I'm like all smooth, no wrinkles, like nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but I
said.
right, but you know what? But like I know the position that I'm in, and I know, especially being very active in the community theater, in the theater area in this community. I make it a focus and a point to really try my best to not only cast non-traditional casting if it doesn't call for a specific character, a specific gender or a specific color. I I go for the best person possible, but I really want to have the representation of Black people, of Latinx people, of Asian people. I Native American people, whoever. Like, I want that representation on stage because I want to see it. Because I know there's a lot of talented people out there that
You know, I,
won't audition for shows because
yeah.
they'll never cast me. I'll never be able to play Cinderella. Yeah, you will. I'll never be able to do this. Yeah, you will. You audition for me, you will.
I actually know what I was talking to a friend of mine the
Well, my
other day.
is watching. That's why I posted her comment. It said casting based on talent. How
How
original.
original.
How original.
I actually I wanted I've been meaning to reach out to you anyway because I think I need to do more acting. I think I need to do more acting. So I was
No,
going to ask
absolutely.
you. I was going to ask you, Rico, about like different places that I could probably audition for because I think I need to do more. I
Well,
had fun
right.
that
Well,
day.
right now, there's
No,
nothing
no,
going on right
I
now.
know there's nothing going on right now.
There's
Maybe
nothing going
next
on
year.
right now.
You know what? And I think I said this online before, and you said you should do it. I would love to be a part of a production of 12 Angry Men on stage.
Yeah.
There's actually a
I
show
love 12 Angry Men.
with
And
12 Angry Women. Um, I don't know if there's a combination of the two, but there is.
Well, I've seen a few theaters do 12 Angry Jurors
Okay,
and
yeah.
just leave it at that. So it's men and women. It's men and women there. So, but no, I really feel that I don't want. I understand the focus of what's going on right now in this country. I understand the movement that we're all behind, and I support 110%. And I'm fighting right alongside with y'all on this. Kenny, you know that. You know me. I don't
I
make
know.
any of my posts. Like, I'll tell you how I feel right off the hip. So There's no fakeness here. I just feel like when it comes to my people, when Black people, we're so underrepresented in Hollywood. Latin people really underrepresented in Hollywood, and it's a shame, especially even on TV. Like even on like national, we had George for every like one show we had, it was like we had to wait 10, 15 years for another one.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
And you have geniuses out there.
Well,
I'm sorry.
The nice thing is now with so many different formats and streaming services, and also too, I think with the accessibility, because right now, especially with everybody being at home, the late night hosts were struggling, whereas some of the YouTubers and folks who've been kind of streaming and doing this kind of thing are kind of thriving now that we're in this kind of quarantine situation. But I think too the nice thing is there's so many different outlets that can be told, and we get a chance to see kind of all stories, because I think that is a part of America's story. That idea of a melting pot is all of the different stories.
Absolutely.
Cultures.
And it's important. And I'm very big on, I don't ever say I don't see color. I see color. I see you. I see who you are.
Yeah.
I want you to see me for who I am. I see you. I see you. I mean, saying something stupid like that to me, like it just, you I turn you off automatically.
I'm so glad you said that, because I mean, I've had people say that. I'm an educator and working with educators. I can't tell you the number of teachers. Oh, I don't see color. I don't see color. And when I tell them how not offensive, I try not to say offensive, but how wrong that is, that yes, I want you to see my color. I want you to see, for the kids in your class to see them and to recognize their culture, their background, and the way they respond. And that, yes, maybe some of the examples or some of the material you need to present to them needs to show a different side, and needs to show some people who look like them. So no, don't see everybody, oh, we're all the same, we're all human, we're all, yeah, I get all that. But part of our culture comes from seeing us as we are Black, as we are white, as we are Latinx. So we see it all.
Yeah, no.
Natalie's comment, because it's, hey. Anyway,
Kathy needs to be on stage or movies. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Rico, I'm telling you, if you had seen her in Raising in the Sun, it was phenomenal. My father, they did it in North Carolina, and that weekend my father flew me down to surprise Kathy, and I saw the last show, the Sunday production of that show. She didn't even know I was in the audience. Until she took curtain, she didn't know I was in the audience, because when she took curtain, I brought her up some flowers to the stage, and that's when she realized I was in town.
Oh wow!
They snuck me into North Carolina, and I stayed at my cousin's house, and I was eating Southern cooking all weekend. Oh
jealous.
my God!
I'm jealous.
Oh my God!
I'm jealous.
Oh my God!
I'm jealous. I tell people all the time, so you want to cook me? You want to cook me some Southern cooking? I'll cook you Spanish food. We'll trade off. Like I got no problem with that.
Hey! And they would the church women, when they had a little, and the church women, I said, well, I'm a bachelor, I'm a single, so I don't get to eat like this. Oh, you say, get a bigger plate. You get a bigger plate. They started to pound plate, and my mom and dad looked at me like, "What are you doing? I'm eating."
What's your go-to thing? What's your go-to?
My wife's favorite is arroz con gandules and pernil, which is rice and pigeon peas. And pork and a roasted pork shoulder in the oven.
Pigeon peas, you got to elaborate, because
it's gandules, it's beans, it's just pigeon peas. That's the white. I would say that's how white people say it, gandules. But like that's my wife's favorite. And totones, which are twice smashed fried plantains.
Plantains, oh,
right.
Okay.
So and usually we do adobo, but I don't rock with Goya no more. So I get the other brands, I make my own and just sprinkle it on and do that. But that's like my wife's favorite, and I do like my dad's my dad's recipe, and it's like very garlicky, and I have it soaking and marinating for 48 hours before I put it in the oven, and I'll slow roast it for about 8 to 10 hours.
Okay, I would say you're
That's
cooking.
yeah, that's cooking. That's
Oh yeah,
that's
I throw it down.
planning.
I throw it
That's
down.
that's like you know what? I think I want that on Friday, so let me start making it on Tuesday.
I also make pastelillos, which are, I guess, what I say is the white people is called empanadas because they don't know what pastelillos are. Only in Puerto Rico, where every other Hispanic country has the same word for everything, but in Puerto Rico, it's always got to be different. It's always got to be different. We always got to be different.
Let me tell you. My first. I want to say this because we're running out of time, but I want to tell you my first experience in Puerto Rico. My girlfriend at the time was about 10, 15 years older than me, and her daughter was about 5 years younger than me. So I'm in Puerto Rico with these two beautiful blondes. And we go to a bar because we're going to the rainforest. And we go to the bar, and the late guy says, "What do you?" I like rum. He makes me a Kahlua colada, and I have a couple of those. So my girlfriend's driving, and we go to the rainforest. And something about Puerto Rico that I'm sure you know, Rico and Kathy. I don't know if you know this, but when you go to the mountains and you're driving on the mountains, there's no guardrails.
Oh no.
There's no guardrails.
No.
And you're high up.
Oh yeah.
With no guardrails.
Oh yeah.
And I'm in the back seat, feeling myself because I got these two beautiful blondes driving the car. I'm in the back seat, drunk off Kahlua coladas, and they say, "Oh, look at that!" And I look over out the car window, and there's no guardrails, and I'm thousands of feet up, and people in their houses on the mountain. And people are sitting on top of their houses on the mountain. And I'm like, what in the world did I like?
That's like my family's houses. Yeah. That's what happens.
I sobered up and drove back home. I took the highway straight through because we wound up going to Ponce. We wound up going to Ponce and to get back to San Juan. I said, look, we're taking the highway. We're not taking the mountains. We're taking the highway. I took the highway straight through. I sobered up and drove home.
Oh yeah, I got sick. I got sick as a kid in the back seat, and it just kept going. Yeah. It just kept going like this and like this.
Just going, going up and
up. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no guardrails, and I'm like, we're gonna die.
And people in Puerto Rico drive crazy.
Yeah,
they drive crazy. Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. It's dark and everything. We're not taking the mountains back.
In the Philadelphia, South Jersey area, so people will say you guys drive crazy down there or up there.
South Jersey drivers are the best drivers in the world.
Okay, all right. Well, Kenny, here's having you on our show. Okay. Anyway, we are way
Rico. I get cut off a lot on the show.
I'm sure
I get cut off a lot.
I'm sure you do.
But, you know, I gotta put this comment up because I think it is very true. It was a very informative show, and again, like you say, we're talking pop culture, but again, I think pop culture does enable us to talk about some other things, and there is no way we could have even touched this subject. I told Kenny I didn't want to do this subject unless I could have somebody as an authority on it. And
I will say, as much flack as my sister and my parents give me about the show, having Rico on was my idea. I'm just saying. There's
applause for Rico. I don't know.
Oh, thank you.
Rico, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We really appreciate
it. Thank you.
Thank you. I absolutely, whenever you want, just let me know. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. To your audience, please vote, register to vote, and vote. It's important. Trust me, it's important. All right. And to my Latinx community, brothers and sisters, your vote matters. It matters. Trust me when I tell you, the Latino community, the Latinx community, can swing this election. Can swing any election. There's many of us. There's that many of us. So
paper towels.
You know, paper towels. Paper towels. Okay. And lastly, if you want a cult movie to watch, even though it's not Puerto Rican, it's still Hispanic, and I love it, and it's probably my top 5 movies of all time. Watch it. Blood In, Blood Out, Bound by Honor. It is gangster, LA, typical 90s movie. You're gonna love it. I loved it. I watch it all the time, anytime I can. I'm sure Kenny's probably
Blood
seen
in, blood
too.
out.
Blood in, blood out.
I have not seen that one.
Watch it.
So much for being here. We really appreciate you and
Yes.
Thank you.
appreciate your insight.
Rico, don't go nowhere. Stay right there, Rico.
Oh yeah, we'll be. But
we're signing out.
we're signing out. Yeah, because we're like 20 minutes
We're
over.
20 minutes over, man.
When you have a good topic and a good guest, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us, Kathy and Kenny Talk Pop Culture. Thank you to our parents who always check in, support our caller, Shane, who called in, Natalie, Becca, Jana, all the folks who kind of checked in and threw in some comments. Consider giving us a thumbs up or a like if you are catching us on YouTube. By all means, consider subscribing. We do this every Saturday night, different topics, different guests, and we appreciate you. And again,
Yes,
if you learn nothing from today, please make sure you finish the census and register to vote.
Yes.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.
Oh my God. That was a good show.